All right. Hope everybody's had a great JNUC, no pressure last session of the whole event, right? And we know that we are the only thing that keeps you between this and a happy hour. So thanks for attending. So I'm Nick Amundsen, joined here by Matt and Kyle, and we have a few exciting things to announce today as well, even though it's the last session. So hope you guys can stick with us here. What we're going to walk through today is just a vision that we have for reporting and business intelligence with Jamf, kind of share some of that vision with you. We're going to announce some new integrations. We're going to do some demos of those integrations, and then we're going to walk into some next steps and how you can take advantage of those. So really the high-level vision that we've got is we want to empower you to make better business decisions based on your Apple device deployment. We realize that within Jamf Pro, there's a ton of information that you could take advantage of and that you could do more with. And we want to start to allow you to leverage that and really start to take advantage of that. And although there's a ton of data, specifically, we want to help you with your devices, your apps, and your groups. We really feel like that's the core of the data that could really help you gain better insights. So that's what we're focused on first, and hopefully this is first of many in terms of the different integrations that we want to put together for you. And really what we're talking about here is going beyond the dashboard. So the dashboard's existed in Jamf Pro for quite some time. It's a really great place to see aspects about one of those things, so devices or apps or policies or profiles. It doesn't mix this data together, right? So we're talking about going above and beyond the dashboard, and even above and beyond what's in Jamf Pro. So to that note, when we take what's in Jamf Pro and we start to mix it with things like data from the App Store, or information from your hardware supplier, or even better yet, information from a security vulnerability database, we believe that we can really unlock some potential and give you insights that you have not gotten before. And here's a tool that we use at Jamf called Domo, and this is an example of some of those dashboards that we're talking about. So on the left side, we've got some financial analytics. This is taking the device data and joining it with that hardware data, right, or that information from your supplier. So on the left side, we can see things like how much of our apps or our hardware spend is built off of what hardware models. On the right side, by taking that data and joining it to the App Store information, that's where we can really see things like where's our app spend broken down by department or by genre of the app, right? And so there's three integrations that we're really focused on based on feedback and based on just the difference of these tools, right? And so Domo, again, a tool that we use at Jamf. We really think this is a powerful tool to be able to join things together. It's got data warehousing built into it, so we wanted to focus on that. We know a lot of you use Splunk, so we wanted to ensure that you're able to take advantage of that. And then again, Microsoft. A lot of you have Microsoft as well, so we wanted to focus on Power BI and ensure that we provide you a path with that. And now, to show you how this stuff actually works, I'm going to invite Matt Armstrong up to the stage.
All right, so as Nick mentioned, we use Domo across our business, and we really wanted to show you the power of it. So we'll go through the setup and install, and then dive into the features of Domo, including data flows, analysis, forecasting, beast mode, and historical data. So as we look at the setup process, we start out by going to the data center. We'll go grab our cloud app and search for Jamf, grab that. I've set up an account already, so when we go into the get data, I've got my credentials, URL, and account name, so we can do multi-context if you have multiple instances to manage. Pick the data set that you want and set a schedule, name it, and we've got data coming into Domo. One thing I do want to mention is that we've got the raw data, and we've also spent some time curating data sets that we think you'll find valuable and have added and cleaned up the data a little bit for ease of reporting. Jamf data is great. It's very diverse, and it has a lot of information about your fleet and your environment. So we wanted to start bringing that data together to give you a complete picture of what your environment looks like. So in this video, I'll be grabbing mobile device details and computer device details and bringing them together to give you a single device view of your environment. We start off grabbing a couple input data set tiles, picking our data sets that we just created, appending them together, selecting the common columns, and putting together an output data set, all within a minute. This ETL is really slick, really smooth, and they've spent a lot of time investing in the tools you need to really bring your data together and add value. And these are just a couple of pieces. They have Python, they have SQL, and a whole set of tools for you to do your ETL work. So we'll hit run, and it'll start building our data set. And again, this is a device view with all shared columns between computer details and mobile device details. That's great. Now that we've got that data set, let's take a look at it. So we'll dive into the data, and we have a fully interactive table. Across the top, you can see, get an idea of the distribution of each column. You can sort and filter. We could check out the schema real quick to see what fields are here and what fields are missing. For example, IP address is a little different between the tables. So there's a little more work to pull it together. And then a quick analysis of the data. So I can see for departments what my distribution rate is, what the top departments are, all really quickly and easily without doing any extra work. Domo does the work for you. So this is one of my favorite views, and this gives an overview of what your departmental device count looks like across iPad, iPhone, iPods, and Apple TVs. So you can quickly take a look at your engineering department, see the number of devices, see that we've got some iPhone SEs still out there, and a couple engineers who probably want a new device. So we can click in and go find those and help go through an upgrade path. Another great feature is their forecasting. So as Nick mentioned, as we bring in the device data and app data, we can look at our app spend month by month, year by year, and look at what our October spend will be based on the last 6 months. And that's all with the click of a button in Domo. There's no math, there's no tests on this. Beast mode is another great feature. So to help enrich the data and give you the visualizations that your organization, your managers are looking for insight, we can look at enhancing the data through beast mode. So I'll pull the enrollment month, the device ID, and now I can look month by month, what does my device trends look like in terms of enrollment. Now that's great, but that's a general view. I want to look at year over year. So a quick simple beast mode to pull out the year of the enrollment date will let me stack and do that year over year analysis. So throw a name, can validate it, save it, and it'll load up, and we'll have a stack. As soon as we throw that in, change it to a count instead of a sum, or no aggregation, and now we've got year over year, month by month device enrollment trends. Historic data set. This is one of the problems that we've heard continuously and repeatedly from you, and one we really wanted to help you solve. So to pull together a historic data set, we've got our input data set that we created a couple slides ago We'll use that as our input, and then we'll pull an output data set, save it, run it, and then start working to build a recursive data set so that we get that historic context built out. So for audit trails, to look at who's owned the device over the lifetime, and start answering some more in-depth questions about what the device life cycle looks like. So now that we've run it, we'll go back in, edit it, add an input data set. I've got a quick Python script to do a dedupe on device ID and serial number and last report date, so we don't get messy data and instead just get those diffs. So we'll pull that together, append it together. Again, same columns, and we don't have to do any work. We could rely on Domo's ETL to pull that together. So connect it to my Python data script. Couple changes in terms of what the inputs are. And we have that historic context. And I'll bring Kyle on stage for Splunk. Thank you.
Domo is truly a powerful piece of software, but we also wanted to do another two as well. And one that has an extremely supportive user base is Splunk. So in this case, I'm going to talk about how to get it into your Splunk instance, how to configure a data endpoint, how to ingest Jamf Pro data, add some visualizations, and then talk about the overarching Splunk's data story. All right, to start with, you can download directly from Splunk Base. It's available for Splunk Enterprise version 7 and 8, and it is also cloud certified. So you can use this with cloud or on-prem instances of both Splunk or Jamf Pro. All right, so here's a quick demo of how to go through it. This is a vanilla version of Enterprise, I believe 7.3. You're going to begin by selecting the Find More Applications or Find More Apps, and then you're going to search for either Jamf, Apple, MDM. We have them all keyworded in there so you can quickly find it. First thing, always go to View on Splunk Base. We keep this up to date. We are running versions on it and updating some bugs or anything that we find on it. So go through the overview. It'll tell you everything that is new that we have with it. And then we also have a detail section that explains how to use it, some of the custom features that are available in it. So enter your Splunk-based credentials. We also have available a air-gapped version. So if you have a Splunk instance that does not have internet connections, we do have those versions available. All right, once you go through here, you do not necessarily need to restart. There's nothing in this application that requires it. And you'll be presented, after you open the app, the area to configure a Splunk instance for Jamf. All right, start by clicking the green arrow in the upper right-hand corner. And you have this form to fill out. A couple of key parts is, first is the name. It must be unique. In this case, I use JSS01 computers because I'm going to collect computer data. Your interval is the amount of time between the times it pulls your Jamf Pro data. 3600 is 1 hour. I suggest either 1 hour or 1 day for the pulls of your data. The rest of it, there's two main ways to pull your computers, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. There's the API for advanced computer searches for computers and mobile devices, and then we also have what's called a custom API endpoint on it, where you can pull in additional information from your JSS. Sorry, your Jamf Pro. And then, of course, you'll need your JSS URL where it is, and then your username and password. And then click Add, and it'll instantly take you to the search page once it's done. So go to Search. Once you see the search page, if you see any number under the seconds, you know that it is collecting data. So in the upper right-hand corner, I think it'll say a few seconds. Yep. All right, so that's how you connect it. As I mentioned, there are two main ways to collect data. The first one is the advanced computer search. So if you create an advanced computer search, you can limit your criteria to make sure that you're only collecting on computers that fit what you want, whether it's managed or if you want to ensure that only certain subsets are in there. We also have the display fields available in advanced computer searches, so you can limit what is ingested by the Splunk instance. So that allows you to ensure that you're not sending PII information or anything that you don't want to send into there, or redundant information like if you don't want the fonts table. All right, so here I'm also going to show you how to look at a dashboard, how to pull information in there, and then also create a cute little visual and toss it on it. All right, so to find a dashboard, you need to search in the upper left-hand corner. One is not included with the package at the moment. We are working on what we would like to include with it. But I'll bring up one that I've used for a couple of use cases. All right, so it's the Jamf Pro current status. This is a pretty basic one. It gives you a count of the current number of devices that are on there, and then it will also give you the macOS versions. This is all rendered. I didn't reduce this video in length at all, so that's exactly how long it takes. So you also have a full-page filter for the JSSs that you have, operating systems, and other things you want there. But I want to add one more visual on here. In this case, I would like to take the IP addresses and turn it into a map. So I'm going to catch the public IP address and go and pipe it through their GeoIP location engine. I have it as a search string that's off in the back. And then just, like I mentioned earlier, you got to make sure you get your times correctly or else you'll have overlap, or you'll have to use a dedupe command, which is CPU intensive. So in this case, on these ones, I pulled once an hour, so ensure that you have your search window for 1 hour in this case. All right, so we can see a distribution of our maps of our devices across the world, heavy in the United States and a little bit all everywhere else. So I like the way that this is, so let's save it. So much like with configuration profiles and that, give it a really good title. This cannot be replicated against any other panel across any dashboard, so make sure it's unique, specific, and descriptive of what you want it to show. You can also include panels in multiple dashboards as well. And then once you click Save, it'll take you directly to the dashboard. So once the dashboard loads, it always appends it to the bottom, and then you can move it around. It's a really slick engine. One of the coolest things about this is that they have tons, absolute tons of data inputs that you can have. So you can combine data sources from, say, Palo Alto or ASA, like Firepower or ICE, so you can combine all that data and then bring it back together so that you can make a business decision or an analytics decision. This does have the capability of doing historical data as well, and as I mentioned earlier, you actually have the capability to add one through any number of Jamf Pro instances you want. And you can filter the entire page, so you can show all of your Jamf Pro instances or condense it down to just one without having to reload the page. All right, so that's what we built for Splunk. You can do many of the same things that we did in Domo. We have another one to present, so I couldn't go as in depth of what we could do. But there are two main ways, like I said, that you can pull in data. The advanced searches allows you to grab just the data you want. The API iterator allows you to grab almost any data from our Jamf Pro instances. So you can grab things like configuration profile settings. You can grab things like patch policies and combine that with other data. You also have historical context with this, so if you want to say, hey, I want all of the IP addresses that this device ever came from, this is a solution that does have that capability. There is a free version that is available as long as you adhere to a couple of requirements from Splunk. Specifically, you only have one login and it's less than 500 megs of ingestion per day. If you do the one pull per day, you will not hit that with our instance. And we also have Jamf Premium support, so you can call the Jamf support hotline for help with the Splunk instance. All right, so the next one I want to talk to you about is PowerBI. We also partnered with Microsoft to help develop and co-release this with their next desktop release. I'm going to go into much of the same steps of how you acquire this, what you can do with it, and then I'll build a visualization. But then I'd also like to talk about a couple of the structural specific parts of how PowerBI works as a service. All right. We will be on the app source as soon as it is certified with the next PowerBI. We do have a GitHub that I will share later today that has the same service that you can include in your instance today. But basically, just search for Jamf, and then you'll be presented with a URL, and then you can enter your username and information as an API. You need read access across the computers and the mobile devices API endpoints. The information that we pull in for PowerBI is a little bit different than Domo, and it's a little bit different than Splunk. So we just pull in the details, applications, groups, and we pull in the extension attributes. And I'm going to show you an example of how to create a dashboard. In this case, on the left, I have computers by distribution, so how many computers are owned by each department, and I'm going to replicate that for iOS devices. One of the powerful parts about PowerBI is much like Domo, you do have the capability to combine these together, so you can create a single unified devices table. It's not shown specifically in this video, but it has a lot of ability to combine your data and make a graph. It also has a right-click analytics engine as well, so you can right-click a data field or a section of a data field, and it'll show you things that are unique about those computers or those mobile devices, and then you can filter across that page. Or as you notice across the bottom, we have multiple pages, so like single computer or mobile device, and you can drill down to it and see details about either just one computer or a set of computers. It's truly a unique platform. All right, when you're grabbing this data, one of the more important things is you need a unique value. I highly suggest if you're trying to combine multiple JSSs to use the UDID as the key value, the count of those, because as you have more Jamf instances, if you use the JSS ID, it will replicate itself. All right, so this is what I really wanted to talk about for Power BI. Power BI is absolutely amazing. Almost all of you will have Power BI Desktop available to you off of your Office 365 subscription. So that was the screen prior to us. Now, if you contain an on-premise gateway, you have the ability to add historical data and background data refreshes. And then that will upload to the Power BI service where you have the ability to share your reports and also publish them out to your organization at large. Also, last week at Ignite, they announced some really cool tools that will have advanced analytics into that platform as well. So these were the 3 tools that we started with. We started with Domo because it's something that we've been using internally for some time now. We responded to our community and we decided to build both the Splunk and Power BI. Power BI was by far the largest request on our user conference, our user Jamf Nation, and Splunk has probably one of the most vocal and supportive user bases out there. So I'm glad to announce that all these are available today in some kind of fashion, and also you can contact Jamf support for initial setup of all these as well. And here's the additional resources that we have. You can go straight to domo.com/Jamf to acquire it. Splunk base, you can either search Jamf or you can type this. And our current version, which will be published soon to the source app, is available on GitHub right now. With that, is there any other questions that you guys would have? Yeah.
With on-prem Jamf instances, you can forward your server-side logs somewhere else into something like Splunk. With Jamf Cloud, you can't do that. Is there an opportunity to get server-side logs like the access log, change management logs, things like that into Splunk with this connector? Or is it only stuff that's in the database?
At this exact time, it is not capable of doing that. It is something that we are working on. We just have it's on our roadmap, or we're working towards solving a couple of those problems. It is on our roadmap, though.
Hi. Do any of these products ingest webhook data? So
ingest what?
Webhook data. Can you send a webhook to them?
Okay, so you can ingest webhook data by Splunk. They have a webhook engine where you can put it in. Are you specifically talking about a webhook from ours?
Yeah, from Jamf to...
Okay, so it does not, because you can't, in the Splunk instance, you can't respond to a webhook, so you can get the existence of a webhook, but you couldn't find out why it happened. So you can get like an in and out into a smart group, but like if something happened and you wanted to find what's exactly up with that computer, you can't do the reverse callback to find out. So in that case, what is suggested is you actually stand up a Flask app, and then you can, for a couple of those webhooks, then you can call it, and then you can drop it into Splunk. You're welcome to hit me up. I can talk about that with you as well.
Looking at what you've done with Domo has got me thinking about our environment. Do you see any of your clients using Tableau?
Tableau is another popular one. One of the issues that we had is their REST system doesn't work with XML very well, and XML is our primary API endpoint. So until we solve those struggles, we won't be able to develop properly with Tableau.
I have a question. I think maybe you already answered it, but for these 3 products, do they have support for the cloud instances of Jamf?
Yes, these work universally across the board. They connect with the API endpoint. So for all of these instances, you need to provide a username that has read access rights. But you do not need direct database instance, and this will work in a cloud instance for us. And
one more question. If I'm trying to pull the application usage logs, is that something that's possible with these
application usage logs, you could pull them directly with the Splunk app, but not with the other 2 right now. That's something that we could. These are our early versions and our early iterations. If that's what people would like added in the next version, I did put up already Jamf Nation articles, and we will use those to help us develop what is next.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, first, thanks for the presentation.
Yeah.
And second, I was going to ask the same thing. So yes, there's a need for application usage.
Yes.
So I think you said Splunk would do it?
Yes, so you can use the custom API endpoint that's in there. I have not that one specifically, but if you go to the Splunk base and you look at the resource ones, I have an entire list of about 20 different strings or endpoints that you can connect to.
Can you tell me how granular you can get? Like, can you get time an app was used from this time to that time? Hours or just?
I wouldn't be able to answer that right now because I haven't used it specifically. I just, thinking of what the URL is, it would work. I'm just not exactly sure how.
Splunk is our choice.
But that's one I would be happy to co-develop on.
Cool. Thanks.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
This is something that we would love to see in a keynote next year.
Yeah. Yeah, so entirely what this is we wanted to get something in front of you guys so you can start building. Our most important part was building the data models that support this so we can start building the historical context for you guys. One thing that we would look at maybe doing next year is do some deep dives available for each one of these and walk through some more intricacies of them.
How quickly do you think you'll have webinars or brief video walkthroughs available so that we can show the C-suites and our CIOs and SVPs, hey, look at all this cool data you can get out of Jamf now. We don't have to build custom dashboards for you.
I'd have to defer to Nick and Matt about that. I think we could have Splunk maybe up in about a month or so. We do have some of that. It would be depending on how in depth our documentation is already.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're working on the webinars. So we pulled all these together quickly, and then we're working with Sam Weiss to start sharing and doing the marketing around these solutions.
You're working with Sam Weiss?
Yeah.
He's our partnership program. We have partnered both with Splunk directly and with Domo to both co-develop these and also co-press release and documentation and support. All right.
All right.
If there's no other questions, we do have a happy hour right over in the ballroom. Hope to see you guys there.